Hey, what's on? I'm Ross, and I'm John, and welcome to, at the moment, is the 9th episode of Ninja Warrior Podcast. I'm so excited to be bringing you guys this, as we just thought we'd be chalked up with AEW Junior for the year. Yes, but we actually got American Ninja Warrior, and despite despite the quality of the season, despite the editing, despite everything that happened, I just want to say I'm glad we got a season this year. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like back in April when all this first came and they canceled Ninja, they canceled all this, and I was like, well, why am I not getting anything but Ninja Junior this year? Yeah, that was kind of like what we were thinking. Is like everything was canceled. No, we didn't know if Ninja Warrior was gonna happen this year. We just knew, yeah, Ninja Warrior Junior was the only thing. A lot of us expected that. None of us expected a 12th season. So despite how bad it is, despite the quality of the season, despite however it is, we are just thankful we had a season. Yeah. So coming into this, what are we doing the first qualifying episode? So coming into this episode, what were you expecting? Considering the Drew news, expecting a very let's say mediocre episode. Yeah, it kind of was too. Cause they had to edit Drew out. They had to edit out the Power Tower, and that not being there really ruined the episode. Like the episode just ended. We'll get there eventually because we are gonna talk about Drew's run at the end, but it really it didn't feel right. Yeah, what's funny is I thought if they're not showing Drew's Power Tower, they probably aren't showing the others. So that's great. But no, they actually showed the other Power Towers, which I was shocked about. And you think they would just considering how the Power Tower works, do you think they would just cut who moved on? No, because why not? Yeah, I feel like it would have been slightly better. I mean, we would not have saw RJ Roman and Sean Bryan collide in the Power Tower, but aside from that, not much was really missed. Yeah, it's just I don't know. No, I don't know. Editing would have been Priestley had to been done in order to. Because for Joe Mawowski's one in the 4th episode, they kept talking about him getting there. Yeah, which he did, but, they would have to edit that part out. Yeah, so, I can kind of see the problem with why they decided to just include them anyway, but it's weird. It's really strange. But anyway, we're just going to get into this. Starting with the opening montage. It was fine. Way too long. Yes. Well, when we were, rewatching it for this episode, I was like... Are you done yet? Yeah, it took a freaking ever, but it was fine. It wasn't just about wising up. The song in it was way too sympathetic. It was trying way too hard, to be honest. But aside from that, nothing really too much to elaborate on. Yeah. But that leads off to the course itself, which included the returning Shrinking Steps. And to be honest, I was shocked these returned. I thought they would choose a different first off, so it was the Shrinking Steps, they didn't take out many people in AEW 11, but here, they took out a lot of people. Yeah, I don't remember if any went out in this episode specifically, but coming up, there were a few pretty notable fails at Shrinking Steps, or just fails in general. Especially in the 3rd episode, a lot of people failed there. To round off the returning obstacles, we have Slingshot, which we put in Cincinnati last season, and it was fine, I kind of like how hard it is, but at the same time, I hate how technical it is. Yeah, one wrong move you could screw up, and that does end up happening later on. In this episode, actually, later on. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But, yeah, it also ends off with the warped wall, which the Mega Wall did return, but we reverted back to the NW 10 rules. You only get one tiny obstacle. Now for the new obstacles. First up is Wait For It, which was the 2nd obstacle. What'd you think of this? That's your word. I don't have anything specific about it. I just don't think I'd like it. I don't like the gimmick of if you weigh a lot, you have a big disadvantage. Yeah. I mean, it comes, the part of saying super high comes into fact later on, but those drops, it comes into play a little bit later into the episode, but those drops can really trip you up. Yeah. And in the 3rd obstacle position, there was Wing Chaser, a personal favorite of mine. And this was actually designed by Kevin Carbone, though it was never mentioned. Probably because he didn't compete in this season due to an injury. But he did design this and enter it in for this year's obstacle design challenge, and it still got picked. I like the obstacle. Basically, you gotta chase a big wing, and if you're able to catch it, then great. It's just a simple skyhook. But if you miss it, then you have to go for a small wing. And this took out quite a few competitors overall. Well, and a few in this episode as well. Yeah, and that rounds off all the obstacles for this first qualifying round. And I guess in general, since for the most part, the same roundabout of obstacles stayed the same. But you forgot one of them. Oh, yeah, the paddleboards! I completely... Okay, hold on. Alright. Well, what is the obstacle's name? I forgot what his name was. Rib 1. Yeah, I didn't remember it either. I thought it was named the paddleboards. Yeah, but that's a similar obstacle seen in AEW, I think 8 and 9. But anyway, Whip 1, yeah, this was a pretty cool balance obstacle. Yeah, I'd say it was one of the most creative. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the obstacle design challenge winners. Yeah, I find it funny how they don't mention a single one of the obstacle design challenge, so... Did you end up looking this up? No, I didn't even think about it, to be completely honest. Oh, dude. I'm just looking up people who got cut. Oh, so I basically just looked up everyone that we did not compete from last season, and just went from there. Yeah, see who got cut. Yeah, so several people got cut that we had no idea about, but we'll talk about them at the end. When we talk about Drew, we'll talk about them as well before we move on to the Power Tower. Speaking of which, we have the ones. Starting off with Robert Moffat, who was one of the competitors that Alyssa Beard brought in. And forgot to mention the team formula. You want to go over how much that formula sucks? Yeah, before we go back to Moffat's one, let's talk about the team formula. It sucks. It would have been better if it was like a ninja versus ninja style, where the competitors were actually hand-picked by everyone and not picked by production. I know what they say in the with the videos and stuff, where they said, like, the ninja stars picked them out of yet. No, they did not. Only a few, like maybe Michael Torres' team and stuff like that. None of them were actually picked by the actual competitors, and that's why, like, most of the time, like, you can see the captains racing, but in the finals, if they end up appearing, they aren't there. I feel like people like Joe Mawaski actually bonded with the team they picked for him. Yeah, especially with, like, with the kid with the glasses. I forgot his name. I think it's like Will something. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, I think they eventually got used to it, but I don't think they had control over who was picked for each team. And the format was actually pretty bad too. 12 would move on to the semifinals no matter what. Top 3 women as well. There was top 12 in the semifinals as well as top 2 women. And then in the finals, it would just be top 8 people entirely, no women. And then Power Tower playoffs. Just screw that. We're just going to leave it at that. Yeah. But anyway, that's how the format worked. And Robert Moffat, he had a little vignette, a story. And it was more just about his passion for teaching, how he moved to Vermont, which doesn't have much ninja area, but that was for his grandma, take care of her before she died a year later. And then, he lost several pounds and yada yada yada. He ended up falling on the Whip 1. He ended up slamming his entire chest into the fourth step, which is knocked off. Yeah. It's like one giant body slam. I hope he was alright. Probably. He was probably okay. The next one was Cameron Winley. And we just got to see him back. Oh, all the way. I was never expecting someone like Cameron Winley ever to show up in Ninja again. But apparently for some reason they picked him. I feel like Grant actually picked him. I don't know. Some of them we know were picked by production. Some of them we know were handpicked. So it's like, I don't know why they allowed both. It should have one, or we're going to be the other. Yeah. So, but anyway, Cameron Winley's story was about how he's the heaviest person to ever hit a buzzer, which he did in season 4. And this season, he fell under weight for it. He spent a lot of time on the obstacle and just couldn't get that final jump. Were you surprised about this? Nope. I was kind of expecting him to go out early, To be completely honest, I didn't think he could really get far. Yeah, he's one of those big people, so he had a hard time on weight for it, and it makes sense. Some heavier competitors can have a hard time with that, because the more you weigh, the faster the ball comes down and the harder the drop will be. So he has got to be ready for it, and he couldn't handle on it for the final time. Yeah, but then came the next one, which was Pauline Avila, and I'd say this is probably the worst part of the episode. Yeah, absolutely one of the worst. Her segment was about her being a nurse during this COVID crisis, but it lasted a grand total of 2 minutes, and I timed that when we rewatched it. It was over 2 minutes, and that's just way too freaking long for a vignette. It should be no longer than a minute and a half for any vignette, like for any competitor, no matter how big they are. And Pauline's one, it wasn't worth it. She fell on weight for it and couldn't even reach the bar, or she just fell, and it's just I do not understand this. Like, if she wasn't a nurse, I guarantee you they would have cut her. Yeah, I find it funny. Production only includes certain people. The vignette they can make with them is, interesting. They think it's going to be good for the audience, and this one simply just wasn't. It just dragged on and on. It just wouldn't stop. Yeah, thankfully this isn't a problem later on in this episode, but they bring it up all the time, and just... I get it, it's part of it. You gotta feel bad for some of them, but at the same time, it's just annoying to be constantly reminded. I mean, Ninja, you got it's time for you to get distracted. For you to forget about all this crisis we're in. Just really think about the sport itself, and then you're just thrown into, hey, this girl's a nurse for 2 minutes straight. Who was John Huey, who ended up falling on Web 1. He had a story about how he's a passionate music teacher, but no one cares about it. He was brought on by Alyssa Beard, but, fell on the paddleboard. Same spot as the other teacher she brought on. Yeah, nothing really else to say. This guy, no one cares about him. We don't care about him. Yeah, look, write down in the comments if anyone we say who cares you actually care about. No. Then there was a fast forward segment which only featured Sheila Williams from Sandy Zibelman's team. And they say they're super moms, but then Joey just falls on the first obstacle. Yup, just a slow clap for that. That's all it deserves, just slow clap. Call her a super mom because she falls on the first obstacle. Yeah, that was just great. Just great to watch. Then came the team captain of the Super Moms, who was Sandy Zibelman. I was pretty shocked they would bring her up this early in the episode, but yeah, Zibelman, she did really well, but unfortunately, turned the ball on a slingshot and just couldn't make that second to last jump. But yeah, she moved on to the finals. Can't spoil that. Well, I think I had the right to say that, but yeah, she moved on. It was really nice to see her this season. I was just surprised about how early they showed her. Yeah, it was kind of strange, but her story was more about impact of it. Yeah, I think that was a better way to do it, but yeah. That was basically her vignette. We need to get more to the next person, who was Rusty Rivera, who was in a fast forward segment. He was part of Casey Suhaki's team, and he fell underweight for it. Nothing really else to say. Yep, he just had a pretty big, distinct beard. Yes, he did. Then came Michelle Simon, who was a hockey coach, who didn't fall on the second obstacle, just like her teammate. Right, but then they shockingly also fast forward Casey Suhaki. Were you surprised about that? A little bit. I was surprised they invited him just to fast forward his entire team. But it's better than them getting cut. Yeah, we will discuss the pretty shocking part about this season when it comes to Drew. Because I was surprised they showed his teammates, but either way, yeah. But anyway, Suhaki fell on slingshot and did not move on to the finals. So this was the last we saw of him. Yep, a grand total of 10 seconds. Just great. Yeah, last season he was cut and fast forwarded he was cut once and fast forwarded 3 times. This time he just fast forwarded once and that's it. This is just great. Yeah, next up was Nate Hansen. This was a pretty inspiring one. Yeah, Nate Hansen. His story is about how he was only 5'2", and he's really looked at as the underdog, overshadowed, called names, bullied, all that. But he ended up being the night's first finisher. This was a pretty impressive one. Yeah, personally, I was pretty shocked he actually was able to get up the warp wall. But we've seen people shorter than him. But yeah, really impressive one from Nate Hansen. And next up, Kenneth Edwards, who was part of Dave Kavanaugh's squad. They mentioned how he had the one in AW11, and from my research, he fell on a lightning bolt along with a whole bunch of other competitors in Dale. But here he fell on wait for it. Nothing more else to say. But next person was Sloan Carewood, who was also from Dave Kavanaugh's squad, and she ended up falling on the Web 1, which also took out the captain, Dave Kavanaugh. Yeah, I think this was pretty shocking, to be completely honest. Not the other girl, but Dave Kavanaugh. He was expected to go far this season, and he just fell in the fourth obstacle. He was so close to calling it too. It's just that his feet glazed the water, and he couldn't. He didn't move on because that was disqualification. But then we moved on to the next person, who was Flip Rodriguez, who had a story about his dog Maui, who died a couple years ago, and I could have sworn that they talked about this. I feel like they have too. I really do. I have a hunch that maybe they did, and they're just reusing footage or something. Well, obviously they're reusing footage. Well, I mean, like, reusing material for stories about Flip. But anyway, he, shockingly enough, did not hit a buzzer. He instead fell on snapback, which is probably the most shocking fail of the night. Yeah, definitely probably the most shocking. I mean, Flip just failing to even get a shot at the Mega Wall was just surprising. Yeah, but Flip did end up moving on, thankfully. Yeah, but the next one was Peter Linson, who was also invited by Flip Rodriguez. He was in a fast forward segment and he fell in wing chaser. He didn't catch the first wing and couldn't get the second one. Yep, nothing really else to elaborate on there. David Alvarez, who ended up falling on the snapback along with Flip. And he was invited by him in the same fast forward segment, but not really anything else to elaborate. Yep, once again, just some random guy that Flip, quote unquote, invited. Alyssa Beard, who had an exhilarate, a really impressive one, and got her first buzzer since season 10. She didn't hit a buzzer last season, but she hit one tonight. This was a really impressive one by Alyssa Beard. Yeah, it was really impressive. I was really glad to see her hit a buzzer. I was really thinking she might go out on snapback, but no, she ended up hitting a buzzer, so congrats to her. And next up was Michael Johnson, who was featured in a fast forward subject and was taken out by Slingshot. And then we had Dylan Goma, or however you say it. I wouldn't be surprised if they just sung. Okay, so Dylan Gomi, sounds like a boy's name or whatever, she ended up wiping out on Wait For It. And that's about it. Anthony Early, he ended up wiping out on Wing Toss. His story was just about him designing obstacles in his backyard. Nothing more than him. Yeah, I wish most of these competitors give us more to go off of, but really we don't care. Really we don't. Yeah, really we don't. Tegan LaBelle, who ended up wiping out on Wing Toss. She was the final member of Cindy Zimmerman's mom squad, but nothing really else to go off of there. A fast forward segment who included Chelsea Munner, who ended up wiping out on Wait For It. She was a part of Jonathan Horton's squad, who also ran during his fast forward and getting knocked out by Slingshot. I'm surprised they invite Horton for this. Yeah, it's weird. Like, Horton, he's such a well-known competitor. Next up was Ryan Lashoff. Why'd you say Lion? I don't know. It was a mistake. And no, it wasn't in the script. We don't like scripts for these. Yes. For everyone who's wondering, yes, these are all improv. But yeah, he ended up wiping out on a Slingshot. And he was part of Tyler Gillette's squad. Nothing really else to elaborate there. Shockingly enough, Tyler Gillette, who's despite having technically the second fastest time of the night, he ended up, getting fast forwarded. He did complete the course, as I previously mentioned. Jim did have the second fastest time within the show, but third fastest actually. But yeah, and the next competitor was Hunter Hollenshed, who had one of the shenanigans. His twin brother actually went up to the course first. Then Holland came up after. Then Hunter came up afterwards, and their story was just about their bond together. And Hunter ended up falling on snapback. That's all I really have to say about that. Yep, pretty much. Warren Howardson, who ran the fast forward segment, and ended up being knocked out by the wing chaser. Just didn't catch that first swing and missed on the second. That's all I have to say. Mike Wake, the Speedo Ninja, who ended up hitting his very first buzzer and yeah, that's about it. He did end up trying to the Mega Wall, but the funny thing is, they didn't show that. Yeah, I find that funny. I don't know why they cut that out. But yeah, they just didn't show him going up the Mega Wall. It was showing a promo, but he was just never shown going up the wall. And next up was someone who was pretty shocking, Julius Ferguson. And him, along with the next fast forward, Taylor Johnson, were both on Drew Dressel's team. And I was surprised they showed them. Yes, I was really. I thought they would cut all three of them, and no, they showed both Taylor Johnson and Julius Ferguson. Ferguson ended up wiping out on with Wing Chaser, and Taylor Johnson wiped out on Slingshot. What's funny is we can see Drew right behind her, and they didn't even bother. And yeah, this is going to be a lot more of a problem later on. But Drew can be seen throughout the season. He can be seen here. He's also on the trailer throughout the season, and it was really funny. It's just like there was this truck sitting right behind the cars, and you can see like almost every one of and during the beginning moments. And he made few cameos here and there, this being one of them. I just find it funny how they don't even mention. I find it funny they didn't even cut that part out. They just left it in there thinking, oh, no one's going to tell us true. But, like, you can see, like, just barely tell. That's a real-life ninja show. It's obviously him. And from the research I've done, Taylor Johnson was on his team. So, yeah, they just flat out cut him out. But you can still see Drew here. And we'll talk about him later, but the next battle after those two, Grant McCartney. And this was kind of annoying. I didn't like Grant McCartney here. Again, I don't like him to begin with, but they hyped him up way too freaking much in this episode. Yeah, they kept on saying, will he go for the Mega Wall? And yes, he does, but he doesn't make it. And there was so much promotion for him, because he was one of only two. I think he was the only one seen in this episode who tried for the Mega Wall. I mean, no, Mike White was seen, he just didn't get shown on the Mega Wall. But Grant McCartney went for it, missed, but yet he was hyped. It was hyped up like he would have made it. Yeah, again, because of the whole Drew Friaxel, I really do feel like he, on this episode, had a lot of extra stuff added in to fill the one time. Like, I'll explain this later on, why my reasoning of this, but I really do think this show would have benefited from an hour-long episode window to get everything in. Because, like, I feel like this episode in particular, it just drags, and later on, a lot of the episodes just drag. And I feel like if they just cut off that last half an hour and just chug everything we need to see in there, and just have all these rookies we don't care about, then I feel like we'll have had a better structure of episodes. Yeah, basically. But yeah, Grant McCartney missed the Mega Wall, but didn't end up in the course regardless. So everything's right in the world, and unfortunately did dance, so screw it. Next up was YJ Manax, who was the final person featured in a fast forward this episode, and then falling on wait for it. And then for some reason comes Jody Avila, who is saved for last in this episode. And I really don't get why. I mean, he got the fastest time, at least according to the show's editing, and it was the second fastest time actually, but yeah, just why? Yeah, his story was about how him and his wife, whatever her name is. Yeah, the one with the really annoying COVID story we talked about. But how she isn't able to see the kids much. He isn't able to see her much. Because like, she has to keep in extreme conditions to make sure she doesn't get everyone else sick. But, yeah, he ran and played the course. And what in editing was the fastest time. And then the episode just ends. But what actually happened was Drew beat his time. Let's talk about him and we're gonna feel out on those. So going into the cut ones that we'll see in this episode, I don't know when these two ended up filming. Well, this first one ended up filming. Seth Rogers apparently ran either this night or the next night when they filmed episode 2. But it is known that he fell in snapback in the qualifiers, just wasn't seen, so it's most likely that he ran here. And then there was John Alexis Jr., who completed the course but wasn't shown. And as we'll go on later, Alexis was strangely completely omitted from the season. Despite being there, he was cut twice and fast-forwarded once, and he was the only competitor to be fast-forwarded in the finals, which was really weird. I really don't get what was the problem with Alexis. I mean, I had a small hunch that maybe it was because Drew was in the crowd doing his magic, but then it was, they showed Taylor and Julius in fast forward, so why didn't they do that for Alexis? Yeah, he must have done something. Like, we have no idea. Like, Ninja Wiki even points this out, but still no concrete evidence shows anything wrong with Alexis. But he completed the course. And Drew Dressel, he got the fastest time of the night. It's unknown what the time was, actually. But him and Avila did compete on a power tower. But I don't know how. But Drew lost. Avila ended up winning on the power tower. And his two teammates moved on. And it showed them without even admitting the fact. It's like, I really don't get it. Yeah, I also don't get how Drew would have lost to Jody Avila. Yeah, the guy weighs like at least 100 pounds more than Drew, at least. But yet, he still lost. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what Drew's one outcome to, and that's how the rest of the night outcome to. And that's why they didn't include the power tower, because Drew was there. But so, yeah, that was the first episode of AW12, the qualifiers. What did you think of this, John, out of spoiler territories out of the books? Well, it was horrible. Yeah, this episode dragged. It was really hard to just sit through. So many of the people, like, there were so many rookies we didn't care about, so many vignettes we didn't care about. And it was a Tetris experience just to rewatch in general and watch the first place. But there were a few highlights here and there, but I kind of wish we got to see the power tower. Yeah, because I'm really curious to see, what mess up really made Drew fail, though. Yeah, like, what made Drew really just fall behind a viewer? Because, like, it must have been something big, or like something that set him back, like, later on Jake Moe and Amir Malik. It wasn't something like that. I feel like at the same time, we don't know. We just know the result, the outcome. But, yeah, that's about it. We don't have really much else to say, but thank you all for watching. It was really great to film this. It's great to get back at the group. It was great to see a Ninja episode. I don't know when this is getting posted, but I'm just glad we got a season. Yeah. Basically. But anyway, we'll see you guys next time for the second episode of the qualifiers. Peace.